Next up is everyone's favorite delusional patriot, the soldier, which is actually one of my most played classes. I'm terrible at it, but I can get kills because basically the way it works in video games, the more hit points a class has, the better at it I am, because I can't dodge shit, but I can tank damage and maybe get some kills. And soldier is fairly healthy. Also, the rocket launcher is one of the most fun weapons to use in the game. It's too bad I can't jump with it. This is my relatively recently acquired, clean, I might add, not duped, dual-spelled, festivized, blah, 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 rocket launcher. It is, what can you say? It's the rocket launcher. It's one of the best weapons in the game. I used it for many years. I had this one, which was actually gifted to me by my friend when I started playing TF2. He didn't sign it because gift wrap was expensive. And I put on the pro kit, the strange parts, and the spells, and used it for years and gave it that cute description. But when I picked up the Australium, some guy was unloading them over the Christmas holiday, which is when you can find good deals on TF2 items on the SEM. I grabbed it in a heartbeat. I think I had to juggle the parts. I forget. It had damage. I put on dumps and buildings, whatever, and then just used a strange transfer tool. My fancy schmancy energy orb shotgun, which has had its stats transferred from my old strange shotgun, which actually has the same origin as my original strange rocket launcher. I think it was gifted to me by a friend who was getting me into TF2, that bastard. I love me some energy orb. I only use strange weapons. I am just the where TF2 and I have the most symbiotic but also abusive relationship, I believe psychologists call this enmeshed, is with regard to stranges. I don't like to use anything that is not strange. So I had never had a non-strange energy orb shotgun. I had a isotope one back in the day, but I sold it because who gives a shit. When I found this thing again on the SEM for a bargain price, I scooped it up. It's pretty beat on, it's pretty scuffed up, but in game you don't see that. You just see this giant ball of energy that shoots buckshot. As far as stats, a lot of back in the day, I used this as NG all the time. I use it as pyro. I am not one of those god tier shotgun pyros, but I've got kills with a bunch of different classes. I actually don't use it in soldier that much. We'll pick up that why. And then with that, we move on to the most OP weapon in the game. This thing is my favorite melee. It makes soldier, who is not a melee class, into a melee monster. As a matter of fact, if you watched my previous video where I talked about the Necro Smasher, that video, which I ramble on for like 17 minutes, begins with like a 2-minute treatise to how much I like this weapon. I'm not going to repeat all that here, but when I had a chance to get a strange, unusual one that actually already had all these parts on it, it had, I think, damage dealt instead of snipers, and as you can see from it, I like hitting snipers. I swapped that and then transferred from the one I unboxed, actually. Because I have so many melee weapons, it's going to be hard finding it. But this one, of course, has Exorcism, and it has a description on it, which dates to a specific instance. That's actually lifted verbatim from text chat from my Double Cross server in, I think, 2014. As I said in my previous video, because the discipliner action has to hit teammates, its hitbox is bigger than heavy weapons guy, and actually extends behind and to the sides of soldier, meaning that soldier can literally, if you will, face stab people in reverse and kill people from behind. And I was trying to motivate probably a heavy to get him to move forward faster, and a spy came behind me to backstab me. I swung at the heavy. It was a random crit. I hit the spy. I killed the spy. The spy had a meltdown in text chat, and I immortalized it with that piece of text. But of course, I don't actually use that version because now I have the isotope one. Next, I should also mention my ubiquitous universal translator, which actually I equip on soldier more than any class, and that's because I can hide it with the much better looking and also strange and unusual. Note, it is also loaded with 3 parts. Neutron Star Whirly Warrior, which is my more or less combination I use all the time on soldier on at least 3 of my loadouts, and basically anytime I'm actually playing the class and trying to do anything, that is to say not dicking around on a trade server, this is the loadout I use. And this is my recently acquired fancy dress uniform, which is dual spelled, footprints and voices, which is what I want. I have, after years of cheerfully obsessing over this, concluded that I like voices from below on all classes, and I prefer footprints to a paint spell. When you could get spells, you only ever could put 2 in a cosmetic, so That's the pair I want. And when I found this on the SM a while ago, I scooped it up in a heartbeat. Next loadout is the same damn thing, though I swap out primers fairly often. This is my prized dual-spelled, etc., cow mangler, loaded with parts. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. The Pumpkin Bombs does exactly nothing, but it is an expensive description tag, if you will, and I love having it on there. And as I said, I like playing tanky classes. I have this thing equipped almost all the time because it gives me another 20 hit points. And after spamming enough damage, I can pop it and give myself and anyone near me headshot immunity for a period of time, which means fuck snipers. And it's the same cosmetics because basically this is what I wear when I play the class competitively. Next loadout is, I'd say for the memes, but really it's for the calling card. You leave a little gravestone when you kill people. This, again, recently acquired dual-spelled Aussie black box. Cool story, bro time. In 2016, some dude quick-sold a dual-spelled professional Aussie black box on the SEM for $35. I didn't buy it and then kicked myself until this thing came up, and it was more than that, but it was still cheap. And it was dual-spelled, and it had a different pro kit on it. It had Agonizing Emerald and Flames. And it didn't have those parts. I don't know if it had parts. I swapped the parts so I could go from my ancient trusty bad box, which I've had for years. I put the pro kit and parts on it, to this fancy Aussie one. My original plan was to get a Grenadier soft cap, which is necessary to complete the set. As you can see, this leave calling card, blah, blah, blah. I wanted a green effect, but if you pay attention to the TF2 trading economy, well, I pity you, but also first gens are in free fall. So green energy is a bad investment because it'll drop in value every time you see it. Demon Flame it's all right, but I already have an all-class Demon Flame hat, and I don't really want another one. The green bat was really expensive because the bats are insanely priced. Arcana's way too expensive. So eventually I just got frustrated, and I just looked at reasonably priced event versus general, first, second, or third gen series unusuals. And a guy was selling this at a price that I could afford. So I picked it up and then did, of course, the insane thing and bought a pro kit, a new one, because some guy was selling this for really cheap on the SEM and swapped out the Agonizing Emerald one for Deadly Daffodil. First of all, Deadly Daffodil looks way better on an Aussie. Second of all, Daffodil's fairly neutral and it matches the effect of the unusual well enough that I don't care. And this is, again, my most worn strange misc, and it just happens to be on here. I could put on whatever. I don't really care. And my new fancy dress uniform. Last loadout is for trade servers. I got this hat recently. A guy offered me a really nice deal on my Cloudy Moon Crone's Dome. This hat plus 3 others, all event effects. And I was bored of the Cloudy Moon, and this is new hotness. I quite like it. Professional Bison, which I've had, again, for 4.5 years, and only now. I still got 71 kills, and I may have reset it at one point, but I don't use it terribly often. It's a meme weapon. And this is just here because I got some war paints at Sweets in a trade, and I spent like 20 minutes inspecting this one, and it looked so good on the black box that I made it. You can barely see it here, but right there is the, and I think it's like the rare part. Every war paint has like a rare icon or something on, or most do, that only appears once in a while. It's a hat turned upside down. It's actually the icon they use for taunt unusual fires, and it was situated in a nice spot. I liked it, so I made it. I literally will never use it, but what are you gonna do with war paints?